now what? What's up, MMA fans? This is Sophisticated MMA. I'm Kate, and welcome to my channel and my kitchen. Here we'll discuss all things MMA, fight recaps, understanding rules, controversies, theories, and also helping fans who are newer to the sport get more into it. It's an absolutely incredible sport, but there's a lot to learn. I know I'm still learning, and I want to help the casual fans enjoy it just as much as the rest of us. UFC 250. Absolutely delivered. Almost every fight was fantastic, but there were three performances that really stood out for me. Sean O'Malley, Jemaine Sterling, and Cody Garbrandt. Coincidentally, these fights happened in that order, so let's get into it with just a quick recap. Okay, let's start with Sean, the Sugar Show, O'Malley. Oh my gosh, less than 2 minutes into the first round, O'Malley did this little feint with his left hand and then threw a hard right, dropped Wineland, walk away KO. Oh my gosh. He said afterwards, I think it was in the post-fight interview, that he's got the best striking in the UFC. I don't know if I would say that just yet. I don't think that we've seen him tested quite enough for him to make that claim, but he looked super technical, really calculating. I think that 2-year vacation did him good because he's looking great. Next, Jemaine Sterling versus Corey Sandhagen. He wasted no time putting his stamp on this card. He took Sandhagen's back right away and he secured the rear naked choke in under 90 seconds in the first round. I've been saying it for a long time. This dude is underrated. I know after his loss to Moraes, he caught a lot of crap in 2017, but it's looked like to me since then he's really worked on his timing and his patience, not rushing. I did get to meet him a couple of years ago, and he said that loss to Moraes was a miscalculation, and if he just waited a beat longer, totally different outcome. I don't really like arguing the hypothetical, but it does seem like that's something that he's really concentrated on since then. Yes, flashy knockouts will grab attention, but fundamentals win belts. But speaking of flash, we come to Cody Garbrandt and Rafael Assunção. Now, for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, and you should, because that's where I put most of my content, and I ask for your opinions. I am terrible at picking fights. Awful. I have a tendency to pick who I want to win versus who I actually think will win. I pick with my heart. But I am trying to get better. So I polled my Instagram followers and said, out of all of these picks, which ones do you think, or which one do you think that I picked the worst? And the majority said it was my pick for Cody to win. Now, I did know that this one was a long shot. I mean, he's coming off of 3 losses, but I've been listening to him for the last few months, and he made that change in his coaching with Mark Henry, I think in November of last year. And I maintained that if he could just get out of his own head, settle his emotions a little bit, calm down, he could actually be really great. Champ? I don't know. But this fight surprised a lot of people. So what happened? 4 minutes, 58 seconds, Cody did this level change, loaded, and delivered a bomb of a right hook, knocking Assunção out cold. Oh my gosh. It was like milliseconds before the bell. It was highlight reel material, 100%. And prior to that, he was doing these, like, I don't know what I had never seen these kicks. Somebody that I know was calling them Mortal Kombat kicks. I know very little about Mortal Kombat or video games or anything. So if you know what those were or are, feel free to comment. But I wondered after the fact if maybe he had been kind of setting this shot up because he was doing these level changes and dropping and kicking, and then he had this same weird level change and then delivered that hit. Very much like what Valentina Shevchenko did against Jessica Ai. You know, she was taking it to the body, and then all of a sudden a little bit higher, and because Jessica was bracing for that body kick, bam, KO, done. That's all she wrote. He looked really, really level-headed the whole time. I mean, the whole fight up until that point, he looked like he was really picking his shots carefully and not doing the same kind of rush-in flurry that we've seen from him before. So I'm hoping that this continues for him. I think he looked pretty great. So after all of that, getting to the point of this video, what's next for everyone? If you don't know, the bantamweight title has been vacated because of Henry Cejudo's retirement, and when that happened, I incorrectly assumed that it would be Jemaine Sterling versus Peter Yan for the vacant title. But as most of you know, they've now scheduled Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo on Fight Island on July 11th. And side note, holy cow, is that going to be an amazing night of fights. We got 3 title fights. I'm excited. Okay, so back to it. I heard that Henry Cejudo said on Joe Rogan's podcast that he feels partly to blame for this because he was supposed to fight Aldo in May, and as most of you know, he went on to fight Cruz instead because that fight fell through. But what I want to know is when the fight with Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo was actually finalized, because it's driving me a little crazy that after Cejudo retired, the conversation didn't immediately go to Jemaine Sterling versus Peter Yan. Aldo has 1 fight at bantamweight, and that was against Marlon Moraes, and he lost. I know it was a questionable decision for some people, but a loss is a loss. And he's coming off of a loss to get a shot at a title. 2 losses if you count Volkanovski. I know that it's in a different division, but still, he's getting that shot because Cejudo called him out, which again, I still don't understand why that call out was even a thing, because we have so much talent in the bantamweight division right now. I don't know. So I looked at the rankings, and as of this morning, Moraes is still number 1, Sterling is number 2, then we have Peter Yan at number 3, Corey Sandhagen at 4, and Cody Garbrandt jumped 4 spots to number 5, and finally we have Aljo at number 6. So even though number 1 and number 2 contenders are available from what I can tell, and a rematch between those 2 would be fun. I mean, it would make for a good story. I know that some people don't really care about the story. I do, but considering how their last fight ended, I think it would be great to see a rematch. But even though all of that is true, we're getting a title fight between number 3 and number 6. And number 6 is coming off of a loss? What even? I don't know. I don't even know what to make of that. I totally get having Yan in the mix. Moraes is coming off. He lost his shot at the title, so I don't see the point in putting him back in there immediately if you have another great contender in Peter Yan, so great. But to pass up Aljo? Especially after his showing at 250, I mean, he's completely solidified that he deserves to be in the spot that he's in, and I don't think that his ranking even changed. So what I would really like to know is how exactly that happened. I don't know that we'll ever know. The story is that Dana said that Aljo will get the winner of the Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo fight, but this is MMA, and it changes so fast. Anything can happen in the next couple weeks. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that it somehow falls through and we get Peter Yan versus Aljo, but I'm not going to hold my breath. But anything can change. Anything can happen. This stuff changes within minutes. So I guess we'll see. The conclusion that I've arrived at: rankings mean absolute bupkis. if you are new to MMA, don't pay attention to rankings. Fighter's win-loss record, the matchup, his fighting style, his opponent's fighting style, all of those things matter far more than the little number next to their name. But I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this upcoming title fight matchup and whether you agree or disagree. Do you think Jose Aldo deserves a shot at the title even though he lost? Let me know. I don't know enough about fight contracts. I am trying to learn, but I don't know enough to know when this would have been finalized or what had to go down in order for it to be done and why they couldn't have switched it up. But if you have that information, please feel free to also share that in the comments. I would also love to know what you think is next for Sean and Cody. I've been hearing a couple things say that maybe they'll get matched up. I don't know if that would be the right move for Sean at this point. I think he's been really smart in taking things a little bit slower, not trying to jump too high too fast. And he does have a ranking next to his name now, so maybe he'll fight Dominic Cruz. I think his number took a bit of a hit. I think he's, I want to say 12, 11, 12, I'm not sure. But like I said, rankings don't seem to mean very much at all, so maybe he will face Cody. I don't know. I want to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, turn on the little notification bell, and follow me on Instagram. I'll put it down there somewhere because I'm still not quite sure what my schedule is. So Instagram is where you will get the heads up that I have a new video coming out. And of course, you don't want to miss it. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.